Michael Olise running down that wing for me. Hello and welcome to Pride of South London Fan TV. Ali here bringing you my match review from the game at the, I can't actually remember the name of their stadium. Is it the Olympic Stadium, the London Stadium, the Westfield Bowl? Anyway, bringing my review from the game where Palace beat West Ham 2-1 with a Michael Olise last minute winner, sending the Palace fans into delirium, and the West Ham fans emptied the stadium, although that had happened about 10 minutes before, to be honest, which is a bit weird. Anyway, let's get into it through all the usual features, through Vieira's rating and man of the match, starting with Vieira's rating. And it was a very, very significant win today. So I'm going to give Vieira a 9. I'm not going to go as far as to say it was a statement result. It was a very important result against the team around us. And significantly away from home, our form hasn't been great as of late. On the road, but that all changed today. As well, I think it was a very, very big result because I didn't feel like many of us were confident before the game. That was sort of shown in a poll I did where I think it was over 50% voted that we'd lose. And I was one of them. I didn't think we'd win this game. I thought this was the kind of the worst possible game for us outside of a team from the top 6 because of the way that Moyes likes to overload those central areas, in particular in midfield. And I just felt that would expose some of the fragilities we've had in the central midfield with Gallagher going, James McArthur being injured, and also the loss of Kiate too. I felt a little bit more confident when the teams came out, though, because West Ham didn't go with the 3 that they usually have been going with in the central midfield, which is Suchek, although he's not a West Ham favourite at the moment, booed off today. Flynn, Downs and Declan Rice. Downs was on the bench. And I felt that actually there might be a little bit more of space for us to find some joy, and that proved to be the case. I think Vieira was vindicated in his decisions in central midfield. I said before the game I'd like to see Will Hughes, but I don't know whether we'll ever see Will Hughes start a game because he's just not somebody that Vieira seemingly turns to or has the utmost confidence in. But he was vindicated because I thought Schlupp had a good game, particularly in the first half. Schlupp made himself available for the ball, made some good balls, particularly to the left-hand side. And ultimately, the result vindicated Vieira in that selection. I think as well, there was some other big calls. Klein over Ward at right back. I don't know whether Wardy maybe had a knock or has played a lot of football recently, so just needed a break. But Klein was very, very assured. And to be honest, that's always my preference, Klein over Ward. But a good performance from Klein and good to see him back. Also, a big call in terms of the front 3. I said before the game that I'd like to see a front 3 of Olise, Saha, and Ayew, and that's what we saw, although it was more Eze to the left and Olise in the central roles with Olise roaming. And he did that over having Mateta up front, which I think worked. I said before the game I thought it'd be more fluid, and it was very, very transitional. Olise in particular was roaming from the left to the right and through the middle, and was very, very hard to pick up as the final goal showed. But I think as well, someone I want to give big praise for today is Jordan Ayew. I've been a critic of his, as of many, over his end product, and I still think that's an area of the game that he needs to improve. But I was up in the gods today at West Ham, and I got a really, really good view of what Ayew does off the ball. And in particular, he seemed to shadow Olise at times today. When Olise would take risks and lose the ball, Jordan Ayew would be straight in, winning the ball back. And I think his role, I think Palace fans are really, really starting to appreciate what he does for the team. Vieira, again, this week, affirming his appreciation for what Jordan Ayew does. And it's tellingly, he said he can always rely on him. And today he definitely could, because it was a good performance for Jordan Ayew. But, I think in general that Olise, Saha and Eze were just very hard for West Ham to manage all game. The only criticism I would have is that we weren't ruthless enough at times. The first 15 minutes of both halves, probably we should have got a goal in. We dominated it. And in the first half, we paid for it because West Ham went 1-0 up after we failed to put our chances away. And then it looked like perhaps it could happen again in the second half with the dodgy penalty, although that was never a penalty. And it looked like maybe we've been paid the price again. But, these Eze and Olise are young and they're learning and they're growing. And I guess it's weird for me to be saying that maybe Olise needs to be more ruthless after he gets a last-minute winner like that. But I know Wilfried Zaha himself says that he talks to Eze and Olise all the time about efficiency. And what's scary is this team is still growing and it will only get better. And that combination of Eze, Olise and Zaha is something we've been excited about for so long. and it's really starting to come together. That goal, the winner, started with Eze, and then Saha's ball, by the way, was brilliant. Absolutely teed it up for Olise, and the finish from Olise, it might have had a little bit of a deflection, but those three together is so exciting because they're only going to get better, and it must be a nightmare for defenders to manage because they just transition. You know, Olise was in the middle, on the left, ultimately for the goal on the right. Like, how do you pick him up? Eze's moving in and around as well. I mean, you think back to the days where Saha was on the left-hand side and treble marked out of games. He can now sort of move around so much more freely than he used to because the defenders have to think about Eze and Olise as well. And it's really, really exciting because I honestly think this team is only just getting started. But let's turn to man of the match. So I've given Vieira a 9. I think a very, very, very good result, and ultimately as well, I think he did well in his substitutions today. He didn't just sometimes he just panics and throws too much. He kept faith today in that front three, and I think that paid dividends for him. He didn't throw Mateta on, you know, which is something I thought he might do. Some fans at halftime I heard talking about how they wanted Mateta on for that focal point, and I get that, but I think that front three had been getting at West Ham all game, and he could see that. And ultimately, you know, sometimes players like Olise, Sarr, and Eze, you keep them on the pitch, they'll find that moment of magic, and that's what happened in the end. So a 9 for Vieira. Man of the match, well, I've already paid tribute to Jordan Ayew today. Have to give props to Wilfried Zaha, a goal and an assist today against his old nemesis, David Moyes. I'm going to put a link into this video, Zaha Man United flop, exposing the myth. Because I think it's interesting today. I think it's interesting seeing Ben Rama score a wonder goal and get taken off by Moyes on around the 50, 60 minutes mark. I can't remember the exact moment. And that was booed by the West Ham fans. And I know a lot of West Ham fans find his treatment of Ben Rama very, very strange. He's allergic to flair players. And I think that ceiling that Moyes found at Man United is being exposed again at West Ham. It's very flat, both on the pitch and off the pitch today for the Hammers. But man of the match for me has to go to Michael Olise. I just love the way that he kept going, the way that he drifted left, drifted right, and then ultimately right for the goal. And he's only going to grow as a player. Like I said, I still think there's more to come. I still think he can be more ruthless. And I know that's weird to say that when he's got a last-minute winner. But I think we could have made West Ham pay the price even more today. So Michael Olise, man of the match, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What would you give Vieira as a rating today? Do you agree with Olise as man of the match? All eyes now turn to Nottingham Forest. We are now in the top 10. A win against Forest, and we are firmly nestling within that top 10. I'll be going to the game. I'll be giving you a review, as always. But before that, of course, we've got the cup tie in Newcastle in the week. So that to look forward to too. What team will Vieira play? That's going to be interesting. I think with us on a run in the league, he may rest a few, but I still think he'll put quite a good team out. So I'll see you in the week for Newcastle and Forest. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you've liked this video, press the subscribe button. Up the Palace.